We all know why you're really here, Anya. Coach Larson's voice, a serpent of pure condescension, slithers across the humid air of the natatorium. He makes sure it's deliberately loud enough for everyone on the Prestonwood Preparatory Academy swim team to hear. Diversity scholarships might get you through the door, but they don't make you a swimmer. The words are not just words. They are a physical blow, a stunning, invisible punch to the gut that slams into Anya Sharma with brutal force. She stands dripping at the edge of the Olympic-sized pool, the sterile, chemical scent of chlorine mixing with the bitter, metallic taste of humiliation that floods her throat. 16 white faces, suspended in the impossibly blue water, stare back at her. Some of them show a flicker of shock, a momentary discomfort, but most are veiled in smirks of smug satisfaction. Not one of them, not a single one, speaks up. But my times, Anya starts, her voice betraying her with a slight, infuriating tremble. They were better than half the times. Coach Larson lets out a short, ugly bark of a laugh, the sound echoing unnaturally off the high ceilings and placid water. You think this is just about hitting a clock? He gestures dismissively with a flick of his wrist at the massive electronic scoreboard. Just yesterday, Anya's name had appeared in the top 3 during the final time trials. This is about technique. It's about precision. It's about understanding the culture of the sport. That last phrase, the culture of the sport, hangs in the air, heavy and poisonous, its meaning as clear and stinging as the chlorinated water. Brittany Hayes, the team captain with her perfect glossy blonde ponytail and an even more perfect smile, doesn't even try to hide her look of triumphant satisfaction. Chad Worthington, a hulking swimmer whose father chairs the school's influential board of trustees, actually whispers the word, finally, just loud enough for Anya to hear it clearly. The reality is, Coach Larson continues, nonchalantly checking his expensive Swiss Rolex, a gift everyone on the team knows came after the Hayes family made a substantial donation for the pool's renovation last season. Some people just don't fit our program, no matter how hard they try. A single droplet of pool water trails slowly down Anya's cheek, a cold, wet track indistinguishable from what might have been a tear. The harsh fluorescent lights of the natatorium seem to intensify, a cruel spotlight singling her out, illuminating her as the only dark face in this blindingly white, privileged space. You can leave your team suit on the bench before you go, Larson adds, a final petty twist of the knife. He's already turning away, dismissing her from his reality. We wouldn't want to waste resources. Anya stands frozen, a statue of dripping, humiliated shock. She can feel 16 pairs of eyes burning into her skin, picking her apart. Someone snickers, a low, ugly sound. Another whispers something that sounds like "quota kid." The words swirl around her like the chemically treated water, toxic and suffocating, threatening to drown her. But then, something inside her, something hard and old and forged in a fire she didn't even know she possessed, refuses to break. With every single ounce of dignity she has left, Anya forces her chin up. Her spine, which had been curved in defeat, straightens into a rod of steel. She turns, and she walks, never runs, toward the locker room. Each footstep leaving a wet, stark print on the pristine white tiles, like the evidence of a crime scene. Only when she is locked behind the cold, metal sanctuary of a bathroom stall does she allow her hands to shake. Her fingers tremble uncontrollably as she pulls out her phone and texts her grandfather, the one person in the world who would understand. It happened. Worse than we thought. She stares at her own reflection in the cracked mirror of the stall door. She stares at the girl who was more than fast enough to qualify, the girl whose times were better, but who was somehow not right enough to stay. But as she stares into her own dark, furious eyes, a new, terrifying clarity dawns. This isn't about swimming anymore. This was never just about swimming. And they are all about to learn exactly what they've done. The city bus groans to a halt at the corner of Maple Avenue and 43rd Street, its ancient brakes protesting with a high-pitched squeal, like everything else in this neglected part of town. Anya Sharma steps down from the bus, her worn sneakers hitting cracked, uneven concrete. She is in a different universe now. A universe that is only a 20-minute ride, but 1,000,000 psychological miles away from the manicured, emerald green grounds of Prestonwood Preparatory Academy. The contrast never fails to hit her with the force of a physical shock. 20 minutes by bus separates a world of gleaming, new-model luxury cars from a world of rusted chain-link fences, a world of verdant, professionally landscaped lawns, from a world of gray concrete patches where stubborn weeds fight a desperate, losing battle to breathe. She walks the 3 familiar blocks to the Parkview Apartments, a cruelly ironic name that mocks the building's total and complete absence of any park or any view. The building's single, perpetually broken elevator is, of course, out of order again, so she begins the long climb up 5 flights of graffiti-scarred concrete stairs. Her swim bag, filled with the tools of a sport she no longer has, feels impossibly heavy on her shoulder. "Is that you, Titli?" The name is a whisper from her childhood, Hindi for butterfly. Her grandfather's voice, warm and resonant, greets her before she's even fully through the door of their small, clean apartment. Samir Sharma sits at their small, wobbly kitchen table, a plate of fragrant, steaming dinner already waiting for her. At 68, he moves more slowly these days, a quiet grace in his deliberate movements, but his eyes, dark and intelligent, miss absolutely nothing. "Hey, Papa," she says, the word a soft exhalation. She drops her bag with a thud, forcing a smile that she knows doesn't fool him, a smile that doesn't come anywhere near her eyes. "You're home early from the library?" His voice is steady, but the deep lines around his mouth tighten. He already knows. He can see it in the slump of her shoulders, in the defeated way she moves. "The university lets me go early on Fridays now," he lies gently. Anya sinks into her chair, poking listlessly at the fragrant chicken biryani he's prepared, his specialty. "Coach Larson cut me from the team today," she says, the words feeling like shards of glass in her throat. He said my technique wasn't precise enough." Samir nods slowly, his face a carefully composed mask of neutrality. But Anya sees it. She sees the quick, sharp flash of pain in his eyes, a pain that is both for her and from a much older, deeper wound of his own. She sees the pain quickly replaced by a weary resignation, and then by something else, something harder, something familiar. She's seen that look before, in old faded photographs from 1972, the year he was denied tenure at a prestigious university, his groundbreaking work in theoretical physics dismissed by a committee that couldn't see past the color of his skin. "Did you tell him about your morning Times?" he asks finally, his voice carefully neutral. "The Times from the community pool?" Anya stares at her plate, unable to meet his gaze. "No." "Why not?" The question hangs in the small, quiet room, heavier than it should be. Anya pushes the spiced rice around her plate with her fork, listening to the soft, rhythmic ticking of her grandfather's old kitchen timer, a relic from a different era. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's the same steady, meditative rhythm he would count out loud when he was teaching her the fundamentals of her strokes as a small child, back when swimming was a joy, a secret game between the two of them. I didn't want to stand out more than I already do, she finally admits, the words tasting like ash in her mouth, a painful, humiliating confession. I'm already the only Indian girl on the entire team. I'm the only scholarship kid. I'm the only one who takes the city bus to practice instead of driving Daddy's brand new BMW. Her voice catches, thick with unshed tears. If they knew how fast I really am. Her grandfather rises slowly from his chair. He disappears into his small, book-lined bedroom and returns a moment later with a worn, black, leather-bound notebook. He places it reverently on the table between them. The cover is blank, but Anya knows what's inside. She's seen it her whole life, but has never been allowed to look past the first few pages. The Sutra of Flow, he calls it. When they wouldn't let me publish my work back in '72, he says, his voice a quiet rumble, I decided that I would understand something else better than anyone on Earth. I decided to understand water. His eyes have a faraway look. Before there were high-speed computers analyzing technique, before sports medicine became a billion-dollar industry, I was documenting it all. Every angle of entry, every point of fluid resistance, every possible way the human body could move through water with perfect efficiency. He opens the book, revealing page after page of meticulous hand-drawn diagrams, complex hydrodynamic calculations, and dense notes written in his elegant, faded ink. Nobody wanted to hear from a brown-skinned immigrant physicist who claimed to understand fluid dynamics better than the world's top coaches. So I decided I would teach you instead, my little Titli. Anya remembers. She remembers those frigid pre-dawn mornings at the rundown community pool when she was just 7 years old. She remembers her grandfather's patient, sonorous voice counting her strokes while other kids were still warm in their beds. She remembers how the water felt different, alive, when she followed his precise, counterintuitive instructions. It felt like the water wasn't fighting her. It felt like it was parting for her, welcoming her home. From his wrist, Samir removes his everyday watch. It's an ordinary-looking digital timepiece, but Anya knows it's anything but ordinary. It's a professional-grade chronometer, waterproof to extreme depths, capable of recording split-second intervals with a precision that most official Olympic timers would envy. It's the tool he used to document her real times, her secret times. You've been holding back at the academy practices, he says. It is not a question. It is a statement of fact. Anya nods, shame washing over her. At team practices, I never go all out. I save my real speed for my 5 a.m. sessions at the community pool when nobody from the team is watching. Why? He asks gently, though he already knows the answer. She looks away, out the small window at the darkening streets of their neighborhood. You know why, Papa. The last time a non-white girl outswam everyone at Prestonwood. That was 20 years ago, he interrupts softly. But you are right. They buried her career under a mountain of scrutiny and false accusations. I know. He sighs. Nothing has really changed. The shrill ringt of their ancient landline phone breaks the heavy moment. Anya answers, her face darkening as she listens. She hangs up, her hands now trembling slightly for a different reason. That was Ms. Abernathy, my guidance counselor, she says, her voice flat and dead. My academic scholarship has a mandatory extracurricular activity requirement. Now that I'm not on the swim team, I have 3 weeks to find a replacement activity, or they'll review my status. Samir's jaw tightens. His eyes dart to the menacing stack of medical bills he keeps partially hidden under a well-worn cookbook on the counter. Bills for the heart medication he pretends isn't as outrageously expensive as they both know it is. 3 weeks, he repeats, his voice a low, dangerous growl. His weathered fingers begin to tap a silent, rhythmic pattern on the edge of the leather notebook. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It is the rhythm of perfection. It is the rhythm of a fight. What would you do if your entire future was threatened by someone else's prejudice? Could you find the strength to fight back? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you believe Anya should fight back, hit that like button to show your support. The hallways of Prestonwood Preparatory Academy buzz with the particular entitled energy of unchecked privilege, a low, confident hum that dims noticeably whenever Anya passes. Conversations halt mid-sentence, eyes slide away. The members of the swim team now travel in tight, exclusive packs, with Brittany Hayes and Chad Worthington always at the center, their laughter always a little too loud, a little too pointed, whenever Anya is within earshot. "Did you hear?" A whisper, not at all meant to be quiet, follows her down the history wing. "Larson finally had the guts to do it. My dad says those diversity scholarship spots should go to kids who can actually fit in," another voice adds. The words follow her like toxic ripples in a pool, spreading outward, impossible to catch or confront. The sound burns in her ears as she arrives at her locker, only to find it has been vandalized. It's plastered with photos of the swim team, from which her face has been carefully and maliciously cut out, leaving a series of jarring, empty holes. Chemistry class passes in a miserable blur. Then math. Then physics, where Dr. Evelyn Reed, a sharp-eyed, brilliant black woman with elegant graying braids, calls on Chad Worthington after she catches him snickering at something on his phone. "Mr. Worthington, since you appear to find the principles of fluid dynamics so amusing," Dr. Reed says, her voice cool and authoritative, "perhaps you would like to come up and solve this rather complex drag equation on the board for us." Chad falters, his face turning a blotchy red. He glances at Anya with an expression of unexpected, pure venom, as if his public embarrassment is somehow her fault. Dr. Reed follows his hostile gaze, her own expression softening with a sudden understanding when she looks at Anya. After class, Dr. Reed calls Anya aside. "I am assigning a special independent study project," she says, her voice low. "It's on the applied physics of advanced techniques in competitive swimming. I thought you might be interested." I'm not on the team anymore," Anya says flatly, the words still tasting like poison. "I know," Dr. Reed says, her dark, intelligent eyes full of a wisdom that goes far beyond physics. "That's precisely why I'm offering it to you." Later that day, in the cavernous, silent library, a hot flush of shame crawls up Anya's neck as she scrolls through her phone. Someone has added her to a private, invitation-only Instagram group titled Prestonwood Real Swim Team. The latest post is a crude, animated GIF showing a cartoon character with her face poorly photoshopped onto it, flailing and drowning. The caption reads, "When you realize chlorine doesn't wash off everything." It has 26 likes. She recognizes, with a sickening jolt, that one of the likes is from Coach Larson's personal account. That's seriously messed up. Anya startles, quickly hiding her phone as if she's the one who's done something wrong. A girl with a professional-grade camera slung around her neck slides gracefully into the seat across from her. It's Chloe Park, the sharp, notoriously persistent editor of the school newspaper, The Prestonwood Clarion. They've never spoken before. "Sorry," Chloe says, not sounding particularly sorry at all. "I was looking over your shoulder. It's a photography habit. I'm always framing shots." "It's fine," Anya mumbles. "Though it isn't fine. Nothing is fine." "No, it isn't," Chloe counters, as if reading her mind. "And neither is what Larson did to you. You qualified for that team, fair and square. Your times were stellar." Anya looks up, her eyes wide with surprise. "How do you—" "I cover sports for the Clarion," Chloe explains, "which means I record all the official time trials." She leans forward, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Including the part where your time in the Butterfly was actually faster than Brittany Hayes's, right before Coach Larson adjusted the official record." A cold, heavy knot forms in Anya's stomach. He changed my times?" Chloe nods grimly. "Right after Brittany's father made another 5-figure donation to the athletics department. I've been digging into Larson. The man is desperate for money these days. Word is, he has some pretty serious gambling debts." The information lands like a stone, creating ripples of its own. Ripples with the distinct, undeniable potential for a tidal wave. "There's something else," Chloe continues, her eyes gleaming with the thrill of a story. "The Riverdale Regional Invitational. It's next month. It's an open competition. It allows non-team members to enter, as long as they can qualify at the public pre-trials." She leans in even closer, her voice now barely audible. "And it just so happens to offer a $5,000 scholarship prize to the winner." $5,000. The number echoes in Anya's mind. It's enough to cover Papa Samir's medication for months. It's enough to ensure that her precious academic scholarship doesn't become just another thing they can take away from her. Her meeting with Ms. Abernathy, the guidance counselor, later that afternoon, only serves to underscore the perilous stakes. "I'm concerned, Anya," the counselor says, peering at her over a pair of wire-rimmed glasses, her expression one of faux sympathy. "Your scholarship review committee meets in a month, and without a qualifying extracurricular activity on your record." She lets the unspoken threat hang in the air between them. That evening, Anya returns home to find her grandfather asleep in his armchair, an empty pill bottle on the small side table next to him. He looks older when he sleeps, more fragile, the lines of worry etched deeply into his face. On the kitchen counter, next to the tea kettle, sits a new, unopened letter. It's a formal notice from their insurance company, informing them that they have denied coverage for his next vital prescription refill. She picks up his worn leather notebook, her fingers tracing the faded, elegant script of the title he never wrote on the cover, The Sutra of Flow. It's not just a collection of theories and techniques anymore. It is a necessity. It is her only weapon. It is their only hope. The natatorium is a different world at 5:30 a.m. It's empty of arrogant voices and mocking laughter, filled instead with the meditative, hollow echo of single water drops falling from distant, leaky pipes. Deep shadows pool in the corners of the cavernous space, where the harsh, bright fluorescents don't quite reach. The water itself seems darker, deeper, more mysterious in the pre-dawn gloom, a silent, waiting conspirator. Anya moves silently through the building's rear staff entrance. The janitors all know her grandfather. He worked as a consultant for the university's maintenance department for years after he was forced out of academia. They've granted her this secret, unsanctioned access to the pool for months without ever asking a single question. It's a quiet, unspoken brotherhood, the invisible network of working-class people who keep pristine, wealthy places like Prestonwood running, while they themselves remain completely unseen and unacknowledged by the people they serve. She changes quickly, places her grandfather's powerful digital watch on the cold tile of the starting block, and slides into the cool, still water without making a ripple. For several long minutes, she simply floats, weightless, letting the water accept her, letting it become an extension of her own body, rather than an adversary to be conquered. Then, she begins. The techniques described in her grandfather's notebook are not merely about speed. They are about achieving a perfect, sublime efficiency of form. They are about a profound, intuitive understanding of how water molecules are meant to interact with human anatomy. Her arms slice through the surface at the precise, mathematically calculated angles her grandfather had diagrammed. Her kick generates the absolute maximum propulsion with the barest minimum of resistance. Her turns are tight, explosive, and precise to the millimeter. Lap after lap after lap, she builds a hypnotic rhythm, each stroke flowing seamlessly into the next, her body and the water moving as one. In the vast, silent pool, there is no team, there is no coach, there is no scholarship at stake. There is just Anya and the water, dancing their secret, silent dance of perfection. On her 12th lap, as she executes a flawless turn, she registers movement at the far end of the pool, a shadow where there shouldn't be a shadow. She completes the turn, her body a coiled spring, kicks off the wall, and sees him. It's Coach Larson, and he's not alone. He is standing slack-jawed at the edge of the pool, and behind him, two men in expensive, tailored business suits clutch steaming paper coffee cups, their faces equally stunned. Anya falters for half a terrifying second, her rhythm broken. But she forces herself to complete the lap with the same perfect form, her mind screaming. When her hand touches the wall, she's breathing hard, but not from exertion. "What are you doing in here?" Larson demands, but his voice, for the first time, lacks its usual conviction. His eyes keep darting to the glowing display on the watch she'd left on the starting block, which shows a time that would not just have won the trials, but would have qualified for the state championships. "Swimming," Anya answers simply, pulling herself out of the pool with a fluid, powerful motion. Coach Larson steps closer, instinctively lowering his voice. "These gentlemen," he says, with a nervous gesture toward the two men, "are from the Riverdale Athletic Foundation. They're potential donors to our program." His eyes narrow into suspicious slits. "What you just did, that wasn't the technique of a swimmer who was cut from a team for form issues." "No," Anya agrees, her voice steady. "It wasn't." The coach's expression shifts, a rapid, frantic calculation replacing the initial shock. "Listen," he says, "perhaps I was hasty in my initial assessment of your abilities." He takes another step closer. "Why don't we discuss your immediate reinstatement to the team? I believe we could use your unique talent after all." One of the suited men, the potential donors, steps forward and extends a business card. "That was an extremely impressive performance, young lady. Coach Larson didn't happen to mention your name when he was discussing the team's top prospects for the upcoming season." "Because she's not currently on the team," Larson interjects quickly, sweat beading on his upper lip. "It's a temporary situation, one we are in the process of resolving as we speak." He turns his back to the donors and directs his next words to Anya, his voice dropping to a low, conspiratorial whisper. "We can work this out, Sharma. You get back on the team. I get you in the official lineup. These gentlemen make their very generous donation. Everyone wins. All you need to do is understand how things work here. Some parents are very invested in their children's positions on this team. Well, the implication is as clear as it is vile. Come back, but know your place. Win, but not by too much. Exist, but for God's sake, don't shine too brightly. Anya looks at the coach's desperate, pleading face. Then she looks at the expensive, powerful watch her grandfather had entrusted to her. She thinks of the ugly, racist Instagram posts. She thinks of the carefully cut-out photos. She thinks of her falsified times. She thinks of the decades of sacrifices her grandfather had made so she could have a chance to attend a school like this, a school that was now trying to suffocate her. I understand exactly how things work here, Coach, she says, her voice as cool and steady as the deep water behind her. And I'll be at the Riverdale Invitational next month, as an independent qualifier. Larson's face darkens with fury. Don't be stupid, Sharma. You need a team, a program behind you. No, Anya corrects him, calmly gathering her towel and her grandfather's precious watch. I just need a fair race, just once. As she walks away, leaving him sputtering by the poolside, she hears one of the donors asking Coach Larson some very pointed, very uncomfortable questions about the team's selection criteria, about its performance records, and about its scholarship allotments. The small, silent ripples she had made in the pre-dawn pool were already beginning to grow larger. The community pool at the Dawn Heights Recreation Center has always been Anya Sharma's true sanctuary. Unlike Prestonwood's gleaming, state-of-the-art facility, it shows its age and its limited public funding. The chipped, rough tiles scrape her fingertips during turns, the lane markers are faded and worn, and the building has that peculiar, hollow echo that only comes from high ceilings with poor, crumbling acoustics. But it is here, in this humble, neglected space, with her grandfather watching intently from a cracked plastic chair, that Anya truly learns how to fly. Again, Samir says, his thumb clicking his stopwatch with a practiced precision. Your third turn. You were a millisecond slow coming out of the rotation. Anya pushes off the wall, her streamlined body cutting through the water that feels less like an opponent and more like an ally with each passing day. Her grandfather's sacred notebook, the Sutra of Flow, sits open on the bench beside him, its delicate, brittle pages fluttering slightly in the stale air current from the ancient, rattling ceiling fans. Better, he calls out as she completes the set, a rare, bright smile lighting up his face. Now we're talking. Now you are feeling the water. Chloe Park, the student journalist, sits nearby, her camera in hand, documenting each and every training session. The school newspaper was her initial excuse for being here, but Anya suspects that Chloe, who has her own history of being an outsider at Prestonwood, is now genuinely invested in the story. She's become a friend, an accomplice. You know this could be huge, right? Chloe asks during one of Anya's short breaks, as she's toweling off. I'm not just talking about the race. I'm talking about the whole story. A rich, corrupt coach taking bribes from wealthy parents to keep privileged kids on a team while cutting the best, most talented swimmer because of her race? That's headline material that goes way beyond our little school paper. Anya feels a familiar discomfort at the idea of all that publicity. I just want to swim, win the scholarship, and keep my place at the academy, Chloe. And expose a corrupt, racist system, Chloe adds with a determined grin. Don't forget that part. 3 days later, disaster strikes. A large, professionally printed sign greets them at the recreation center's main entrance. Pool closed for emergency repairs. Duration, minimum 2 weeks. Through the locked glass doors, Anya can see what emergency repairs means. The pool is completely drained, a cavernous, empty concrete pit. Men in hard hats and coveralls are inspecting the foundation. A huge, spiderweb-like crack snakes its way across the deep end. 2 weeks, Anya says, her voice numb with disbelief. The Riverdale Invitational is just 18 days away. The YMCA has a pool, Chloe suggests, trying to be helpful. It does. A very nice pool, where half the Prestonwood swim team, including Brittany Hayes and Chad Worthington, practices on the weekends. Anya discovers this the hard way when she arrives the following afternoon, only to find Brittany and Chad doing laps, while their wealthy, well-dressed parents watch from poolside lounge chairs. The light, cheerful conversation among the parents stops abruptly the moment she walks in. Anya sees Mrs. Hayes, Brittany's mother, lean over and whisper something to her husband, who immediately gets up and approaches the facility manager. 20 minutes later, the manager approaches Anya, his face a mask of pained apology, and regretfully informs her that the pool is now reserved for members only during all afternoon hours. "We could try the community college pool," her grandfather suggests later on the long bus ride home. His breathing sounds more labored than usual today, and Anya knows with a guilty pang that his medication rationing is taking its toll. Their swim team has priority on all lap lanes, Anya responds despondently, scrolling through a list of public pools on her phone. "Everywhere decent is either booked solid for the next month or suddenly becomes members only as soon as I show up." She gets a text from Chloe that evening. It's bad news. Someone filed a formal complaint with the Riverdale Invitational Committee about your eligibility. "On what grounds?" Anya demands when they meet at school the next day, a cold dread seeping into her bones. Chloe shows her the photos she took with her long-lens camera. The photos show Coach Larson having coffee with one of the Invitational's senior officials on the same day the complaint was filed. "Technically," Chloe explains, "since you were, however briefly, a member of the Prestonwood team this season, they're claiming you need a formal release from your former coach to be able to compete independently. It's an obscure, almost never used rule, but it exists," Anya finishes, the familiar, bitter taste of defeat threatening to rise up and choke her. Dr. Reed finds her moping in the physics lab after school. She takes one look at Anya's devastated face and says 2 words. "My office. Now." Inside the cramped, chaotic space, filled with books, scientific models, and the comforting smell of old paper, the teacher studies her with kind, knowing eyes. "Chloe Park tells me you are in need of a pool." Anya looks up, surprised. You talked to Chloe?" "I am the faculty advisor for the school newspaper," Dr. Reed says with a small smile. She pauses. "And I have a backyard pool. It's nothing fancy, but it's regulation length. It uses different chemicals than you're used to. Less chlorine, more salt. But the physics of the water is the same." Hope, fragile and tentative, flickers in Anya's chest, but it is quickly tempered by a lifetime of suspicion. Why would you do this for me, Dr. Reed?" Dr. Reed opens a drawer in her old metal desk and removes a faded, curled photograph. It shows a younger version of herself standing on a swimming podium, a silver medal around her neck, her face a mixture of pride and disappointment. The photo is from the early 1990s. "Because 30 years ago, Anya," she says softly, "I was you. Different prejudice, same story." She gently taps the silver medal her younger self is wearing in the photo. And this should have been gold. That evening, Anya calls home from Dr. Reed's surprisingly beautiful backyard, watching the fiery sunset reflect orange and pink across the surface of the professional-grade saltwater pool. "Papa," she says, her voice full of a renewed hope, "I found a place to—" She stops, her blood running cold, as she hears her grandfather's ragged, desperate coughing on the other end of the line. "Papa, are you okay?" The coughing finally subsides. I'm fine, Titli. Just the usual. But Anya knows it isn't just the usual. When she returns home late that night, she finds him asleep in his chair, his breathing shallow and faint. There is a missed call notification from his cardiologist on his phone. The insurance denial letter is still sitting on the table, but now it is accompanied by a new, more menacing letter. A bright red, past due notice for their rent. For the first time since this whole nightmare began, a paralyzing doubt creeps into Anya's heart. What am I doing? I'm training for some stupid swim meet while my grandfather is getting sicker, while we're about to be evicted. She knows what she should be doing. She should be looking for a part-time job, not chasing some impossible vindictive redemption fantasy. She is halfway through an online application for a cashier position at a local grocery store when Samir wakes up. "What is that?" he asks, his voice rough and hoarse from sleep. "A job listing. The Quick Stop is hiring night cashiers." Her grandfather's eyes narrow. "And the invitational?" "It can wait. We need money now, Papa. Not maybe in a month if I win." Samir sits up straighter, a sudden, surprising strength returning to his body. He reaches for his precious notebook, his Sutra of Flow. "No." "Papa?" "No," he repeats, his voice now forceful, resonating with an authority she hasn't heard in years. "I gave up my own chance once. I told myself there would be other opportunities, other races, other times. There weren't." He flips open the notebook to the final, unseen pages, sections filled with diagrams and equations even more complex than the rest, sections Anya has never been allowed to see before. "These," he says, his voice low and intense, "are the last techniques I ever developed. The ones I never had a chance to test. The ones I never taught you because I was saving them." "Saving them for what?" Anya whispers. His dark eyes, fierce and burning with an unshakable belief, meet hers. "For now. For when you needed to be more than just fast. For when you needed to be absolutely, undeniably perfect." The Riverdale Aquatic Center gleams like a modern cathedral of water and light. Soaring glass walls stretch upward to the sky, and the bright morning sun streams through, dancing and scattering across the surface of the massive Olympic-sized pool where state champions have been crowned for decades. The sound hits Anya first. It's a roaring sea of noise, hundreds of voices, spectators, swimmers, coaches, echoing off the water and the tile, creating a disorienting cacophony that is a world away from the quiet, private pools where she has always trained. Samir moves slowly beside her, his hand gripping a simple wooden cane, a concession to his weakness that he hates. He leans on it more heavily than she's ever seen him. The morning's intensive breathing treatment has left him tired and pale, but his eyes are alive with a fierce, determined fire. He carries his precious notebook, the Sutra of Flow, tucked securely under his arm like a holy text. "Registration desk is over there," he says, nodding toward a long table where officials in stuffy navy blazers are processing endless streams of paperwork. Anya approaches the table with Chloe Park right beside her, her camera already out, quietly documenting everything. The official's practiced, welcoming smile fades slightly as he reviews her independent registration forms. "Independent qualifier from Prestonwood Academy?" His eyebrows, thin and skeptical, rise. "I'm afraid there seems to be an issue with your paperwork. We require a coach's signature on the eligibility waiver." "I'm not with the team anymore," Anya explains for what feels like the 100th time. "I'm competing independently." The official shakes his head, a smug look on his face. Without a current team affiliation, you require special authorization from your former coach. I'm afraid without Coach Larson's signature. Is there a problem here? Dr. Evelyn Reed appears at Anya's side as if from nowhere, radiating an aura of professional authority in a crisp blazer and wearing official-looking credentials from her time as a state physics education liaison. This swimmer lacks the proper authorization, the official begins, puffing out his chest. Dr. Reed produces a business card. Perhaps you should give Carlton Michaels, the school board president, a call. He and I were just discussing Prestonwood's independent athletic qualification protocols yesterday afternoon. We had a fascinating conversation about Title IX compliance. The official's entire demeanor shifts. His face pales. He makes a quick, hushed phone call, his eyes glancing repeatedly at Anya as he speaks. When he returns to the table, his welcoming smile is back, though it looks strained and painful now. Everything appears to be in order after all, he says through clenched teeth. Lane assignments for the final will be posted before the preliminaries. As they walk away from the table, Anya whispers, "Who is Carlton Michaels?" "He's the new school board president," Dr. Reed answers with a wry smile. "And he's an old friend of mine who does not appreciate his school's athletic departments operating like private, exclusionary country clubs." And across the pool deck, Anya spots the Prestonwood team arriving in their matching expensive warm-up suits. Coach Larson freezes momentarily when he sees her, then quickly gathers his swimmers around him, speaking intensely. Brittany Hayes and Chad Worthington keep looking over at Anya, their expressions a venomous mixture of disbelief and pure contempt. Chloe, meanwhile, has set up multiple cameras and recording devices around the pool deck, her press credentials allowing her access that other spectators are denied. "I'm live streaming this to the school's social media pages," she explains with a wink. "Half the student body is already watching." The preliminary heats pass in a blur of noise and churning water. Anya easily places second in her heat, deliberately holding back just enough to secure her spot in the final without revealing the full, shocking capability of her new techniques. Coach Larson watches her from the sidelines, a stopwatch clutched in his hand, his face a mask of furious recalculation with each lap she swims. Between the heats, Anya notices her grandfather looking alarmingly pale, sitting heavily on a bench, his breathing shallow. She rushes over, her own heartbeat accelerating not with exertion, but with a cold, terrifying fear. "Papa, should we go? We can leave right now if you're not feeling well." "Don't you dare," he rasps, his hand gripping hers with a surprising, frail strength. His eyes are fierce, burning away his physical weakness. "This is your moment, Teatley. I have been waiting for this moment since you were 7 years old." He removes his watch and presses it into her palm, the metal cool against her skin. "The final turn," he whispers, his voice urgent. "Remember page 47 of the Sutra, the momentum shift. You execute it at exactly 3/4 of the way to the wall. Nobody teaches that technique anymore because nobody understands the physics of it except for us. The 8 finalists are called to their positions on the starting blocks. 8 lanes, 8 swimmers, 7 from wealthy, established teams with professional coaches and corporate sponsors. And then there is Anya, in lane 5, the independent, with her grandfather's watch secured tightly on her wrist. As she adjusts her cap and goggles, she sees Brittany in the lane next to her, whispering something to Chad in lane 3. They both laugh, looking pointedly at Anya. Coach Larson stands behind their blocks, his arms crossed, his expression a cold, unreadable mask. "Swimmers, take your marks." Anya closes her eyes for a brief, calming second. She feels the cool, rough texture of the starting block beneath her toes. She visualizes the water molecules, their chaotic dance, and the way they will yield to her body. She pictures the perfect, elegant angles her grandfather had calculated decades ago in his lonely office, while the world of his peers ignored him. The starting buzzer blares, a violent slash of sound, and 8 bodies hit the water simultaneously in a single, explosive splash. The deafening roar of the crowd fades into a muffled underwater hum as Anya finds her rhythm immediately. The first 50 meters pass in a blur of perfect, efficient form. Her arms slice through the water, her legs propel her forward, her body rides that fine, invisible line between the surface and the depths that minimizes all resistance. At the first turn, she is dead, even with Brittany, a mere hair's breadth behind Chad. She can see Coach Larson's face from the corner of her eye as she surfaces, his features tightening as he realizes, with a dawning horror, that she is not just keeping pace. She is a threat. Second 50. Anya applies and reads practical physics lessons, adjusting the angle of her arm entry to account for the pool's unique, subtle current patterns. She pulls ahead by 1/4 of a body length, feeling the water resist her, and then yield as abstract theory becomes a real, practical, powerful advantage. Third 50. Chad, panicking, begins to kick harder, his technique forceful but inefficiently wasteful, churning the water into a frenzy as he closes the gap. Brittany matches him, drawing even with Anya once again. The sharp, metallic taste of adrenaline floods Anya's mouth as she maintains her perfect, calm form, despite the fire that is now burning in her muscles. The final turn is approaching. This is it. This is where champions are made. This is where her grandfather's forbidden, secret technique will either prove to be revolutionary or will fail completely. At precisely 3/4 of the way to the wall, Anya initiates the sequence her grandfather had designed. It's a subtle shift in her body position, an almost imperceptible change, her right shoulder dropping exactly 2 centimeters lower than conventional technique dictates. As she flips, her momentum transfers differently, the altered physics of her rotation creating a powerful slingshot effect that all of conventional swimming wisdom says should be impossible. She feels it instantly. It is an explosion of power. The water is no longer an obstacle. It has become a launching mechanism. Her body rockets off the wall with a velocity that surprises even her, propelling her a full, shocking body length ahead of the others before they have even completed their own turns. The final 25 meters of the race unfold in a surreal, silent, slow motion. Anya feels every single water molecule, every subtle current. She feels the pressure of the water against her palms, the lift along her torso, the precision of each and every kick. All of it perfectly calibrated to maintain the impossible advantage her turn has created. She sees Coach Larson's face as she passes his position on the pool deck. It is a perfect, beautiful portrait of utter disbelief. She sees Brittany and Chad thrashing desperately behind her, their own perfect, expensive techniques dissolving into a panicked, frantic effort. Anya's hand hits the wall, and the world explodes into chaos. The scoreboard flashes her time, a full second faster than the official Prestonwood record, a record that has stood untouched and seemingly unbeatable for 15 years. Officials in their navy blazers huddle together beneath it, their faces a mixture of confusion and shock, checking and rechecking the electronic timing system, unable to believe what they have just witnessed. The stunned silence that had fallen over the natatorium gives way to a single, thunderous wave of applause as the spectators, many of them wealthy parents from Prestonwood, who had come to support their own team, find themselves on their feet, cheering wildly for the unknown, independent swimmer who has just completely rewritten their understanding of what was possible in the sport. The applause vibrates through the water, through the concrete of the pool deck, through Anya's entire exhausted body as she hangs on the edge of the lane line, breathing hard, her lungs on fire. The glorious, impossible reality of what has just happened begins to wash over her in exhilarating waves. The scoreboard displays her time in huge, glowing digital numbers, while the officials continue to huddle beneath it in a state of disbelief, forced to verify what the electronic sensors, their own stopwatches, and hundreds of human eyes have already confirmed. A new record. Irrefutable. Undeniable. Perfect. Chloe's cameras capture everything. The stunned, horrified expressions of the Prestonwood team. Coach Larson's ashen, ghostly face as his world crumbles around him. And most importantly, the image of Samir Sharma rising shakily but proudly to his feet in the stands, tears of vindication streaming unashamedly down his weathered, tired face. "That's my granddaughter," he tells anyone and everyone within earshot, his voice breaking with a pride that is 60 years in the making. "That's my Titli! That's my butterfly!" A local news crew, alerted by Chloe's live stream, which has already garnered thousands of views and is trending on social media, pushes through the chaotic crowd. Microphones and cameras are suddenly thrust into Anya's face as she climbs from the pool, water cascading from her shoulders. "How does it feel to break the school record? Were you surprised by your performance today? Why aren't you swimming for the official Prestonwood team?" Before Anya can even begin to answer, a woman in an expensive, perfectly tailored suit approaches, her expression a careful mixture of confusion and growing concern. It's Dr. Nelson, the head of the Prestonwood School Board. She is followed closely by Carlton Michaels, the new board president Dr. Reed had mentioned, a man whose face is a grim, unreadable mask. "Ms. Sharma," Dr. Nelson begins formally, "I was under the impression that you were cut from the Prestonwood swim team due to technical deficiencies." The question, loaded and dangerous, hangs in the suddenly quiet air. The cameras are still rolling, capturing every word, every nuance. From the corner of her eye, Anya sees Coach Larson attempting to slip away, to melt into the crowd. Chloe, ever the journalist, smoothly adjusts her camera angle to ensure that he remains perfectly in the frame. "Yes, ma'am. That's correct," Anya answers, her voice clear and strong. She stands tall, water still dripping from her body, unashamed. "Coach Larson determined that my technique wasn't precise enough to meet Prestonwood's high standards." Dr. Nelson's eyes flick from Anya to the scoreboard with its record-breaking time, and then back to Anya. "And yet, you have just broken our school record. By a full second." "Yes, ma'am. As an independent swimmer." "Yes, ma'am." Carlton Michaels steps forward, his powerful voice now carrying across the entire hushed pool deck. Perhaps Coach Larson could explain this discrepancy between his professional assessment and today's results. Coach Larson freezes mid-escape, forced to turn back toward the cameras, trapped in the harsh, unforgiving spotlight of public scrutiny. "Athletic decisions are made based on a multitude of complex factors," he begins stiffly, his voice strained. "Team cohesion, long-term potential, and—" "Donations?" Chloe interjects, her voice sweet and innocent, but her eyes sharp as daggers. She holds up her phone, displaying a clear screenshot of the racist Instagram group, with Larson's own username clearly visible among the likes on the offensive posts. Or perhaps the decision is based on social preferences. A low murmur runs through the crowd. One of the Riverdale Invitational officials, a man with a large, gleaming medallion on his chest, steps forward. The winner of the Riverdale Invitational also receives a $5,000 academic scholarship. Ms. Sharma, if you'd be so kind as to join us for the presentation. The awards ceremony passes in a surreal, triumphant blur. The surprising weight of the gold medal around her neck, the oversized cardboard check, the continued blinding flashes of the cameras. Through it all, Anya keeps her eyes focused on her grandfather. He is standing taller now than he has in years. Despite his physical frailty, his precious notebook clutched proudly against his chest. When she is finally handed the microphone, Anya speaks, her voice clear and unwavering, carrying across the entire natatorium. "This victory isn't just mine," she says. "It belongs to my grandfather, Samir Sharma, whose revolutionary understanding of swimming technique was decades ahead of its time, but was ignored." She pauses, gathering her strength for what she knows she must say next. "And this victory belongs to everyone who has ever been told that they don't belong. To everyone who has been told that their very presence makes others uncomfortable. To everyone who's been told that their talent somehow counts for less because of who they are or where they come from." The crowd has grown completely, respectfully silent, hanging on her every word. Swimming isn't about donations or country club memberships or making sure the right people win. It's about discipline, it's about dedication, and it is about the perfect, honest relationship between a human body and the element of water. That is what my grandfather taught me, and that is something that cannot be bought, it cannot be sold, and it cannot be reserved for some and denied to others. 1 week later, the Prestonwood Academy boardroom buzzes with a new and unfamiliar tension. An official, external investigation has been launched into the swim team's selection practices and the swirling allegations of a donations for positions scandal. Coach Larson has been suspended, pending the full results of the review. His office is being combed through by forensic auditors who are already discovering years of disturbing financial irregularities. Dr. Nelson sits across the polished table from Anya and her grandfather, her expression now solemn and humbled. "The board would like to formally offer you the position of team captain for the upcoming season," she says, "with a full 4-year athletic scholarship to complement your academic one." Anya considers the offer, feeling the familiar, reassuring weight of her grandfather's watch on her wrist. "I appreciate that, Dr. Nelson, but I think Prestonwood needs something far more important than a new team captain." "And what would that be?" "A new system," Anya says, leaning forward. "A system where talent and hard work matter more than last names, connections, or financial contributions. Instead of making me captain, I want you to establish a permanent diversity scholarship for the swimming program, and I want you to implement mandatory blind tryouts where the coaches and judges can only evaluate technique, not the identity or the skin color of the swimmer they're watching." Dr. Nelson's eyebrows rise in surprise. That's a very unusual request, Ms. Sharma." "So was asking the only brown-skinned swimmer with qualifying times to leave the team," Samir says quietly from beside his granddaughter. "Sometimes, Ms. Nelson, our unusual requests are what reveal our true character." 3 months later, dawn breaks over the Dawn Heights Recreation Center. The humble community pool gleams with brand new tiles, a fresh coat of paint, and updated equipment, all of it funded by a coalition of wealthy Prestonwood parents who were shocked into action by the public exposure of Coach Larson's corrupt and biased system. The early morning light illuminates a dozen young, hopeful swimmers from diverse working-class backgrounds, all of them focused intently on the young woman demonstrating a perfect butterfly stroke in the water. The relationship between your body and the water isn't adversarial, Anya explains, her voice full of a newfound confidence, her body moving with the same fluid grace that broke records and shattered barriers. It's collaborative. Understanding the physics changes everything. On the pool deck, Samir sits with his notebook open, occasionally calling out a minor adjustment. His breathing is easier these days, the full course of his expensive medication now made possible by the scholarship funds. Beside him, Chloe documents the session for a follow-up story. Her original exposé on athletic inequality at Prestonwood won her a state journalism award and has sparked similar investigations at 3 other private schools in the state. Dr. Winters arrives with equipment for the afternoon physics demonstration, nodding with deep approval at the scene unfolding before her. The Prestonwood blind tryouts are next week, she reminds Anya. Half the board of trustees will be observing. They'll see something they've never seen before, Anya responds, smiling, as she helps a young girl adjust her arm position. The child's face, brown like Anya's own, lights up with a jolt of pure joy when the simple adjustment results in a noticeably smoother, faster glide through the water. A familiar figure appears at the entrance to the recreation center. It's Chad Worthington. He hesitates for a long moment before stepping inside, looking out of place without his usual entourage, dressed in street clothes rather than his expensive Prestonwood gear. Anya notices him first, her body tensing instinctively. "What do you want?" Chloe asks, stepping protectively between him and the pool. Chad raises his hands slightly. "Just to talk. 5 minutes." Anya signals to her grandfather, who nods but watches carefully as she swims to the edge of the pool. Chad shifts uncomfortably, looking at the diverse group of children practicing their strokes rather than directly at her. "My dad resigned from the board," he says finally, his voice low, "after the audit found his signature on some of Coach Larson's financial approvals." Anya says nothing, just waits. "He didn't know about the Instagram group," Chad continues, "or about Larson changing your times. He wanted me to have every advantage." He finally looks up, his blue eyes meeting her brown ones. "But I knew," he admits. "I knew about all of it." The raw, unexpected confession hangs in the air between them. "Why are you here, Chad?" Anya asks, her voice neutral. He gestures awkwardly toward the pool. "I heard about what you're doing here, teaching kids who can't afford private coaches." He takes a deep breath. "I was accepted to State University on a partial swimming scholarship. I still need to work on my form if I want to keep it. What you did at Riverdale, that turn technique, nobody's ever seen anything like it." Understanding dawns. "You want me to train you?" "I know how it sounds," he says quickly, a flush creeping up his neck. "After everything, but yes." Anya studies him, remembering his whispered "finally" on the day she was cut, his smug snickering in physics class, the way he had stood by and said nothing. "Come back on Saturday," she says finally. 6 a.m. If you're serious, you'll be on time." "Thank you," he says, relief flooding his face. "I'll pay you, whatever your rate is." "You don't pay with money," Samir interrupts, having moved closer during their conversation, his voice firm. "You pay by coaching 2 of our beginning students for every hour Anya works with you." Chad looks around at the diverse group of children, some as young as 7, all of them from neighborhoods like Anya's, a world away from his gated community. I've never coached kids before." "Then you'll learn," Samir says simply. "That is how it works here. Nobody just takes, everybody gives back." After Chad leaves, Chloe approaches, her expression one of pure skepticism. "You're really going to train him? After everything he did?" Anya watches the children practicing, their young bodies already starting to show the influence of her grandfather's revolutionary techniques. Change has to start somewhere, she says. It might as well be in the water. The following Tuesday, Anya stands at the edge of the newly renovated, gleaming Prestonwood pool. The blind tryout system, her system, is in place. Dozens of swimmers in identical black suits and caps are performing for a panel of judges who can see only their technique, not their identity. Dr. Nelson and the new school board sit in the observation deck above, their clipboards in hand. Dr. Winters stands beside Anya, their two reflections, one black, one brown, wavering together on the water's surface. "Are you ready for this?" Dr. Winters asks. "I've been ready my whole life," Anya answers. The first prospective team member steps onto the starting block. It's a girl whose dark skin gleams under the fluorescent lights. Another follows, then another. Anya recognizes them from her community classes at Dawn Heights, kids who never would have dared or been allowed to try out for this team under the old system. Behind the observation glass, Dr. Nelson leans forward, her eyes watching not just the swimmers, but the young woman who had stood up to them all, the young woman whose refusal to remain invisible had forced an entire, powerful institution to finally confront its own ugly reflection. Later that evening, Anya sits with her grandfather on their small apartment balcony. The constant, crushing financial pressure has eased. The scholarship money, combined with Anya's new official position as an assistant coach at Prestonwood and a paid consultant to 3 other school districts that are implementing similar blind tryout systems, has brought them a stability they haven't known in years. "Did I ever tell you why I really started swimming?" Samir asks, his voice stronger and clearer these days, the proper medication working its quiet miracle. "Because you were fast," Anya answers, the familiar, comfortable story from her childhood. "No," he smiles, a deep, genuine smile that reaches his eyes. "It was because water doesn't care who you are. It doesn't see the color of your skin or the size of your bank account. It responds only to physics, to understanding, and to respect. It is the most honest element in the universe." Anya touches her grandfather's watch, which she still wears daily, a powerful symbol, despite having received multiple lucrative offers from equipment companies to endorse their latest high-tech models. "The Sutra of Flow," she says softly. "It's not really about swimming, is it?" "It never was," he agrees, his eyes gazing out at the twinkling lights of the city. "It's about learning how to move through a world that is designed to push against you. It's about understanding the invisible forces at work and using that secret knowledge to propel yourself forward instead of letting them hold you back." The following morning, before the sun has even fully risen, Anya stands at the edge of the Dawn Heights pool. A new class of nervous students waits alongside the veterans of her program. Chad Worthington arrives precisely at 6, already changed and ready to begin working with his 2 assigned beginners. Anya slides into the water, feeling it welcome her home, as it always has. It is the one place on Earth where she has never had to be less than she is, where she has never had to hide her power or her potential. "The water doesn't lie," she tells her students, her voice echoing her grandfather's timeless words. "It doesn't care about your background or what anyone else thinks you're capable of. It responds only to technique, to understanding, and to respect." She demonstrates the entry, her body slicing through the surface with a breathtaking precision that still draws gasps from observers. As she completes the lap and turns to face her students, she sees Chloe, filming from the side of the pool, documenting this moment, as she has all the others. "Some walls are not meant to be accepted," Anya tells her students, seeing a fire of understanding dawn in their young, hopeful eyes. They are meant to be broken, not just by me, by all of us. On her wrist, her grandfather's watch continues to keep perfect time, measuring not just the seconds and the minutes of a swim, but the steady, powerful rhythm of change that begins, always, with a single, perfect stroke. Did this story of triumph against injustice move you? Do you want to experience more powerful underdog victories that will leave you feeling inspired and uplifted? Then make sure you subscribe to Beat Stories right now. Our channel delivers the most emotionally satisfying stories of ordinary people achieving extraordinary victories against all odds. From academic underdogs to athletic comebacks, from workplace justice to creative breakthroughs, we showcase inspiring people overcoming impossible challenges. Hit that like button if you enjoyed Anya's journey, and share it with friends who need to witness the power of perseverance. Comment below with your favorite moment from the story, the moment that gave you goosebumps. And most importantly, subscribe to Beat Stories for your weekly dose of motivation, inspiration, and cathartic justice. We drop new stories every single week. Make sure you turn on all notifications so you never miss the moment when the underdog finally gets their day. Every single time someone stands up, speaks out, or refuses to be erased, a new story is born. Here at Beat Stories, we archive that courage. Subscribe now and help us keep these powerful moments alive, because the more we share them, the harder they are for the world to ignore.